Cobarde, that is the Spanish translation for the word coward. Yeah? Coward. Because that's what Mikel Arteta was in this game. Arsenal at home, Man City, the away team, travelling as the underdog. Typically, Man City aren't seen as the underdogs in these type of fixtures, but they are, at this point in time, the underdog. They came into this game as the underdog. They came into this game with points dropped in more games than Arsenal had, right? And then when you looked at the options that Arsenal had in totality, not just starting lineup, but the subs bench in comparison to what Man City had, this is the first season or the first time in a long time where Arsenal have a better squad than Man City. They have better tools at their disposal to win the game of football. And this is up against the Man City team that Brighton bludgeoned in the space of 15 minutes after being outplayed for the majority of the game. This is a Man City team that we went to their ground and made them look very, very ordinary. Very, very ordinary. This is a Man City team that beat Wolves 4-0 but looked dodgy defensively. And this is a Man City team that just packed and potioned Man United last week. They deserve to win that game. I knew they were going to win that game because they're just better than Man United. But Man United were cutting them open quite easily. Quite easily. And yet this is an Arsenal side that have failed to beat this Man City team. With a better squad at their disposal to the team that battered Man City 5-1 last season, 5-1. And you have a better squad at your disposal. Okay, no Odegaard today. That's a big blow. That's a big blow. But does that mean that you have to play that team that you played today, Mikel Arteta? This isn't even an Arteta hate campaign. I hate Arsenal already, so I don't need to add further hate. I don't like Lego Head, but I think he's a good coach. I think he's a very good coach. Arteta is a very good coach, but he is a coward. Two things can be true. He's a coward. And games like today, right, will seriously hurt Arsenal's chances of winning the title. They will. Because you have no hope if your manager is the one that's going to hold you back. You have no hope. Honestly. In years gone by, Arsenal fans, a lot of my friends are Arsenal fans, like, they bemoan their lack of quality, options, depth. Oh, we're always losing key players in crunch games, this is that and the third. And as I said, I'll caveat, yes, I know your captain is missing in Odegaard. But in Eberechi Eze, you signed a player who's arguably just as good as Odegaard. Like, just as good as Odegaard. You had Saka on the bench. Okay, he's just come back from injury, but I can understand. He's just come back from injury. You don't want to risk starting him. You started the guy that you spent £52 million on, which is another topic altogether, right? That I could speak on for ages, but we're not going to get into that because we can, if we did, we'd talk about choice of signings at the right times. But be that as it may, I can understand Saka being on the bench. He's just come back from injury. You're trying to ease him into things. What I can't understand is if you look at the games where Eze started, yeah? You look at the games where Eze started in the league. So he started against Nottingham Forest. He started off the left. So that's your 60, 67, 68 million pound signing. So if he's starting off the left, in your eyes, that tells me, okay, maybe he's a left-sided option. Cool. But prior to that, you were starting Martinelli off the left. So if I go by what you've done for most of this season so far, and the player that you've signed, that's two options off the left that you have preferred to Trossard. And yet, in a game that Arsenal absolutely had to win, Trossard is starting. Trossard is starting. Because what? He came off the bench and scored and assisted. Why? You needed to win this game of football. Why is your second or third choice left wing option starting this game when you had all of your left wing options available? Why? Let's look in the midfield. Odegaard is quite clearly there. Well, he's meant to be anywhere. Whether he is or he isn't game to game is a different matter altogether. But that is meant to be your creative hub. Right? That's meant to be your number 10. The game's meant to flow through the likes of him, Zubimendi, but in the advanced areas, playing in between the lines, that's meant to be Odegaard's job. Odegaard is not here. Yeah? So that's your now second opportunity to start the guy that you literally signed for £68 million in Eberechi Eze, who's just come off a strong end to last season. He was on smoke for the second half of last year, and he literally plays in that position. Not only does he play in that position, that is literally his best position. Like, I got so much to say about this, honestly, but before I continue, getting older really changes your perspective on life. This video is in paid partnership with BetterHelp. I'm over 30 and I'm thriving on the surface, but in reality, it's much tougher than I imagined. I now have a wife, increased responsibility in my 9 to 5, a big family network that I need to be present for, alongside my content creation. Wearing all of these hats continuously weighs on me, and I struggled to find a medium to express my thoughts until therapy was recommended. A therapist will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from new perspectives. They can give you advice and techniques to make positive changes in your life. BetterHelp is the paid partner of this video, and they're on a mission to make starting therapy easier. Fill out a questionnaire and you'll match your therapist as soon as possible. Easily switch therapists at no extra costs if it's not the right fit. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is the platform you can trust. Click the link in the description or go to www.betterhelp.com/tappintobes and get 10% off your first month of therapy. Let's get back into it now. So, Odegaard is missing. He's not here, but you've signed a quality number 10. And yet you don't start him. So there's two positions. You could have started him off the left. You could have started him through the middle. You choose to take none of those options. You've already gone with Trossard on the left. And then you go with Mikel Merino through the middle. When has this guy played well in any big game in the midfield? When? When has he played well in any big game they have had in the midfield? I'm struggling. Genuinely, I'm struggling to name you a performance where this guy has played well. When has this midfield worked? When? Zubimendi, Merino, Rice. It played against Liverpool. They stank in the first half on the ball. Off the ball, yeah, they worked hard. They nullified Liverpool. Arsenal were the better team overall. But this game, they're at home. They're meant to be the aggressors. They're going out to win the game of football, not to contain the opposition. Right? Or do both. You need to win the game and contain the opposition. That midfield is only set up to contain the opposition. And then that game plan is completely thrown into chaos when you're 1-0 down in the first half. Like, it's one thing to lose players to injury. It can happen. You take it on the chin, like Big Steve says. Sometimes it can happen, and it's unfortunate. And sometimes it shags the outcome of a game for your club. But it's another thing to have the talent available, and you're literally you're cooking your own team. You're cooking yourself, right? You're literally sabotaging yourself, and that's what I felt they did today. Gyökeres was so poor. He was so poor today. He didn't really give the centre-backs any sort of trouble whatsoever, right? You look at the other end, you look at what Haaland was able to do up against two stronger centre-backs in Arsenal, Saliba and Gabriel. Okay, he wasn't rampant the whole game, but when he had to, right, he could win headers, he could win duels, he could pin them back sometimes, and when he had the moment, he scored. But that's a key difference, right? I've spoken about what he did outside of the scoring, but he had 2 moments to score. Gyökeres had no moments to score against Arsenal. So on top of the fact that he's not doing enough to occupy the centre-backs, to give the centre-backs a hard time, okay, he's played poor there. But this is a service striker. This is a striker who is reliant on service, and you create nothing. You create nothing whatsoever because the players that you have on the pitch are not suited to creating the opportunities that he needs to score. Look at Eberechi Eze. He came on the pitch, okay, he played 45 minutes. In the death, right? In the dying moment to that game, what was it, 3-4 minutes of into extra time? And he plays a pass that gets Martinelli in behind the defence and he scores. Fantastic goal. Fantastic pass, because I was praying and hoping it was offside. It wasn't offside. Fantastic pass. Good run from Martinelli. Fantastic finish. That can happen, but guess what? That could have happened in the first half. That could have happened in the first half. That literally could have happened in the first half if you put your best foot forward. You play your best players in a football game, it's more likely going to give you a more favourable outcome in the game, especially up against Man City. And listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from Man City. Man City, they defended well today. They did. They defended well. It wasn't a vintage game by any means, but defensively, they did well. Kuzunov on that right-hand side, he defended well. Nico O'Reilly, I don't think he was that good defensively at all. But the centre-backs, Gvardiol, I thought he played well. Ruben Diaz, I thought he played well. The midfield didn't really offer loads in possession. I don't think they had, I wouldn't say any of them had great games, but they tried to dig in. They did their job defensively, to a certain extent anyway, in the first half and some of the second half, before Arsenal were getting into it, right? But this is still a Man City team that are vulnerable. They looked vulnerable in almost every game they've played this season. Even when they win, they are vulnerable. And they're travelling away to your ground. Away to your ground. The plethora of options Arsenal have, and to play your third choice in that position in the midfield, and arguably your third choice at left wing, sorry, that is cowardly. That is cowardly. That shouldn't even be your approach when you're looking at where Man City are at this stage under Pep Guardiola and what this game represents to you. Arsenal had to win this game today. This was a must win. And you're setting up a team that screams must not lose. What do you expect to happen? What do you expect to happen? Man thought he was going to contain, nullify them, and then maybe win it on fine margins. No, you blew them apart last season, 5-1. Take the handbrake off, right? Take the handbrake off. I did a video a couple weeks back where my language is a bit softer when I questioned the lineup against Liverpool. Because even then, Liverpool, they didn't look themselves. They didn't. They looked vulnerable, right? But even still, you can excuse that game of fine margins. Szoboszlai, Howitzer, it can happen. Narrow loss, but you still contain your opposition. They didn't create that many clear-cut chances. Today, with Man City, bruh, you play all of these defenders, and yet Haaland is racing through on goal for the first goal with no one near him, and you're 1-0 down. Because that's what happens when guys like Erling Haaland get into that position. And okay, not every team is going to be able to keep a clean sheet against Man City, but what is more concerning is you weren't able to create enough opportunities against Man City. Even if they're defending well, even if they're digging deep, you are the aggressor. You're meant to be the home side. You're meant to be the team with the superior options. And yeah, even with the head of steam that Arsenal built up at the start of the second half, just by virtue of having Saka and Eze on the pitch, I'm struggling to count the clear-cut chances that they created. Nothing created for Gyökeres, nothing created for Saka, nothing created for Trossard. Yeah, even set pieces, not really many chances. I'd be fascinated to find out the XG. In fact, let me even look at the XG for this game. Because, yeah, 0.96 XG. 0.96 XG to this Man City team at home. One big chance created. I know stats don't tell the full story, but I'm adding stats into the overarching story that I watched with my eyes. Even in the second half, when you've brought on Saka and Eze, it's still stifled. Like, it feels like Arsenal, sometimes they're building up a head of steam, but like it doesn't feel like Arsenal have thrown the kitchen sink at Man City. They even took off Haaland. And yes, okay, cool, you brought on Martinelli and Eze. Eze got the assist, Martinelli scored. Arteta will probably say, okay, my substitutions worked. But no, big man. Your substitutions work to get you a point when you should have started some of these players to get you a win. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Because it's not like Arteta's a dumb manager. Clearly, you're a good manager. You amassed how many points last season? Season before that, you amassed like 80, what was it, like 89 points? Season before that, you amassed something like 84 points. Like, clearly, Arsenal have a good coach. You have to be a good coach to do what Arsenal have done the last 3 years. You have to be. But are you the coach that's going to win? Because not all good coaches win. And right now, this Arsenal team, it pains me to say it, but if you look at the squad, it's primed to win. Odegaard is not even in the squad. And they're not missing him because you've got Eze right there. Right there, bro. But yet, their own manager might be their own undoing. Like, they're playing Newcastle next week. That's a must-win game now. 5 points behind. You can forgive Anfield. Can you forgive today? I don't know. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be fuming. I saw that lineup and I hate Arsenal with every fibre of my being. I do not like this club. I wish them nothing but pain, and I'm delighted that they've dropped points. But even me, as a football fan, as a neutral, if you can even call me such a thing when Arsenal are involved, I saw that lineup and I was just disgusted because I had to cover it. I had to host the mob. And I'm like, I actually want to host an entertaining game. I want to watch a nice game, even if it's at their expense to win. I want to host an entertaining game. I don't want to be bored. And yes, mind you, it wasn't a boring game, but I saw a team that were unadventurous, that played with the handbrake on, for the majority of the game. That's not good. That's not what you want to see. I mean, it's what I want to see, but I don't think that's what Arsenal fans want to see. Because now look at it. 5 points behind Liverpool. Yes, they play Crystal Palace next week. Palace are unbeaten. You never know. The way Liverpool are still playing, fantastic first half against Everton. Second half, not good. So there's still some chinks in the armour there. And a team like Crystal Palace might well be the team to draw blood from Liverpool and maybe have them dropping points for the first time this season. But let's just say Liverpool win. If Liverpool win that game, very tough game, but if they win that game, that's an 8-point gap. And you now have to play up against an 8-point gap heading into a tough game for Arsenal. They didn't beat Newcastle last season. They lost in the league game 1-0. They lost in the League Cup 2-0. The season before that, they lost 1-0 again, right? The season before that, they won 3-1. The season before that, they lost 2-0. So in the last 5 appearances, 5 that Arsenal have had at St. James Park, they've lost 4 times. You do not want to be going to that ground with an 8-point gap to make up. And it's so avoidable. It is so avoidable. Because even if I go back to that Liverpool game, yes, I know I'm saying it's Anfield, but could you have made your subs quicker? Could you have changed the way you want to play a little bit? Give players a bit more freedom, less rigidity. And now I'm jumping back onto the Man City game today. Could you have done the same? Less rigidity, more freedom from fullbacks, maybe more freedom from midfielders and where they can drift. Like, maybe don't leave your winger isolated every single time. Maybe get Saka on the pitch sooner, or get Waneri on the pitch, get Martinelli off the left, get Eze through the middle. Like, can you do these things to try and make Arsenal more fluid? I don't understand. I just don't get it, bro. I don't understand it, man. And for that reason, that's why I'm calling him a coward. I'm calling him a coward. Lego man is a coward. Lego head, sorry. He's a coward. Very good manager. Yeah. But whether you're going to win at Arsenal, it remains to be seen. And sorry, let me rephrase because he's won at Arsenal. Whether you're going to win the Premier League, the major that they are desperately craving, it remains to be seen. Like, if you set up like you did today and you play the lineups that you've played today, I'm probably going to side towards no. Can Arsenal win this league with the squad they have? Yes. Unfortunately, I'm going to say yes, they can. Do I think they're going to win the league? No, I don't. I don't. But they can. They just need their manager to be braver in situations like today. They need their manager to enable them to play better football. And I'm not just saying better football from an entertainment standpoint. I'm saying better football in terms of chance creation. Can your team be more fluid? Can your striker score more goals? Can he get more chances in a game of 90 minutes where the defenders are having him up, right? Can you get some more attackers into the game? Can you get the fluidity up? 0.96 XG, that's pathetic. I'm sorry, at home. That's pathetic. That is pathetic. Sorry, that's pathetic. I'm trying to see some of the other games as well. Nottingham Forest, 1.84 XG, 5 big chances, fair. That was actually a good performance. Leeds, it's Leeds. It's Leeds. Still searching for some fluidity from Arsenal. You need to be able to create more opportunities in games like today. And not once did I actually say, rah, Arsenal are peppering them here. Not once. Nah, man. I love it. I love it, honestly. But outside looking in, that is cowardly from Arteta. If that was Thomas Frank that did that in a game where he had what he had at his disposal, I'd be fuming. I'd be fuming. Even the other day, we drew against Brighton 2-2, and I was still saying, like, I actually thought we played relatively well. But I still had some frustration with Frank because I felt the lineup was wrong. You didn't need to play Bergvall in the 10. You could have played Bergvall as an 8 or dropped him altogether, put Xavi in the 10. Because when he came on the football pitch, things started to light up. The same way things started to light up when Eze and Saka came on the pitch. Yeah? Simple tweaks can be the difference between 1 point and 3 points. Of course, ours is on a lesser scale because we're not going for a title. And I'm pretty okay with a point at the Amex. Are Arsenal fans okay with a point at home against a side that they smacked 5-1? This iteration of Man City? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not when you're chasing Liverpool, who have won 5 out of 5. Unfortunately, you have to be flawless. Unfortunately, you have to be flawless. And even if you're not flawless, because Liverpool aren't going to win every single game from now until the end of the season, it's about being able to capitalise when they drop points. When you are setting up in the way you set up today, does that give you confidence that this is a manager that's going to capitalise, that's going to play the right team when we need the points in the back? I'm not sure. Doubtful. But you know what, Mikel Arteta, please, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Keep playing Marino. Start him ahead of Odegaard. Start him ahead of Eze. Please continue to play Trossard. Heck, I want to see that same team that played today. I want to see that continued. Please. Please, please, please. Because if that continues, obviously we know it's not going to continue because Saka's going to start on the right wing, but keep being conservative. In fact, keep being negative with some of your selections. Keep being safe in terms of the way in which you set up your team. Just keep doing it. Because the more it happens, the more likely Arsenal are to drop points. And the more points you drop, the further and further away you are from winning a league title. So I'm happy. Let's just hope Spurs are actually good in that period as well. Otherwise, I will not be happy.